I'm a man.
We're back.
Hello.
We never
Trying
left.
to get into what we've missed over the last couple weeks of the college football season, which is starting to wind down here. We're getting pretty close. So
Starting to feel like 2005 again.
For all of that,
Go a little bit.
we'll hand this right on to Bethke.
All right. Well, obviously, clearly, some good things have happened for 2 out of 3 frames to be doing the burn orange bit today. All right.
I don't
So
have a Texas hat.
I will say, before we get into a lot of this chaos, I am still a little stunned that we're even having this conversation, but I'm excited about it. The Longhorns have made it this far. I am both untrusting of this team and somehow convinced they probably have what it takes. And the evidence is goofy. But before we get to that, let's paint the picture, because last we left off, we told everybody what was going to happen in the playoff, but no games have been played. The first game that did happen was mostly kind of a snooze fest. I ended up going to a casino with some friends who were in town for the holidays and watched it a little bit as I gambled simultaneously as one does. But this was Notre Dame beating Indiana. That was 27-17. Domers controlled it most of the way. Obviously, it wasn't a blowout, but it was pretty much also there. Hoosiers fought well. I think a lot of people wanted to make a joke of their inclusion, and instead they had a fairly good game. Again, 27-17 makes it feel better than maybe it felt like if you watched it or were sticking with it. And then finally, weirdly enough, the Indiana Hoosiers quarterback had been playing with a torn knee the entire season. So I think we got to have some respect for the Indiana Hoosiers football program. Think about the money, guys. You always should think about the money, especially now that we're in NIL. It's perfectly reasonable. Nice. It's perfectly reasonable to think that a school like Indiana could produce a top-notch football program fairly quickly. Maybe it doesn't compete for the championship. It still is, there's tiers to this. But like
nowadays, you just gotta get in there, and you don't know. We don't know.
A lot of important people have graduated from Indiana. So it's really not too surprising. You're already in a big conference. You're already in a recruiting hotbed. If you can put it together and build the program, I think you can do it, right? You got to take advantage of what's there. I think TCU and Baylor did a great job of that. When the Big 12 started to get a little wonky, started becoming a lot like the high school football we were watching in Texas instead of the college football we were watching everywhere else. And that was what helped them be so dominant in the conference quickly. Then we get to the Texas Longhorns in their first game. That was the game against Clemson. This was the 5 versus 12 matchup in Austin. It was a game where the Longhorns scored 21 points in the second quarter and looked like they were on their way to really putting their foot down and perhaps showing the world that they mean business. But they didn't. In fact, this actually got pretty close. I think the 38-24 part happened fairly late into the game. So it looks great in retrospect, especially now that we're a couple of weeks back. It almost, whatever. But there was a real moment there where Cade Klubnik almost led the Tigers back.
Yeah, this is something I brought up. I feel like all year is that I don't think any of these teams are just that much consistently that much better than any others. They're just
this has been the least convincing season
conversation
I feel like we've ever had in college football. Like it feels like every year for the last I don't know how many decades, you've always had at least one team that looked clearly better than the rest, and whether they made it to the finish line or not was, a matter of what did or didn't. But this season with the playoff, it's like, oh wow, I don't believe in any of you as being like dominant, but clearly some of you are good enough to, survive
Yeah.
to this
Yeah,
point.
there's still a very real scenario where someone who lost to Northern Illinois is going to be your national champion, and
there's a conversation for them
that's
that being
interesting.
played
So
the best football of any of these teams. Now, I would not put Notre Dame as the best team so far, but they've certainly played up to or past expectations. Another team that we basically expected to choke something away at some point because it's their reputation is the Penn State Nittany Lions. But they beat SMU pretty handedly to start this playoff off in the 6 versus 11 matchup. That was a 38-10 matchup.
Yeah, and how fitting that two teams that have a reputation for choking in big games go up against each other. Like,
Oh no,
somebody has to choke that one away.
I have in my notes. I called it the "Who do you trust the least" bowl, and because it's like I really feel like this is a moment why I don't gamble is because I would have to be faced with the matchup Notre Dame versus Penn State and know that if I had money on the line in that scenario, I would make me so paranoid. There's no way.
Absolutely.
But before we get into more of that, we still have more games. And the team that I maybe think actually is the best team potentially in college football right now, the 8 versus 9 matchup, Ohio's. I know. But you have to admit, if you just take the name away and you just put the resume on, it's pretty damning. Ohio State throttled Tennessee.
Yeah, it was not close.
They look like a whole new team. Now, I think a lot of people outside of the SEC, brainwashed masses, felt like Tennessee was kind of fraudulent. I think most people felt like if Tennessee was to play this game better, at best, it's like 42-30 something.
Maybe there were weeks though where all of a sudden that offense would just.
But like I said, which I think when you're playing a great defense full of future NFL players like you have in Ohio State, you probably don't get 50 no matter what. And then 30 is probably your best bet. And so for them to have let up and gotten really smacked in that game, I think it proved that point. I think it's still a great program. I think Tennessee can still potentially evolve past even some of their
in a great spot. Yeah.
I mean, I think no matter what happens with it's Texas or bust at this point. If Texas wins, I still think that's awesome, but I don't necessarily think it means the SEC is theirs like it was Alabama's or Georgia's. I think this SEC is still going to be pretty open.
Yeah.
And so, I thought Ohio State really looked interesting. We'll get into their other game in a second. That was more interesting by far than the Tennessee ass whooping. The 3-6 matchup, this was us getting into the next round. Boise State, basically the sitting duck. Penn State, the team that chokes. So that's the hope, right? Is that Penn State they're going to choke. And they didn't at all, actually. They pretty much handled that game altogether. 31-14 final. Future Dallas Cowboy, who knows? Ashton Jeanty, 100 yards, 30 carries, no tutties in that game. I mean,
that's locking him down. So
yeah, true. I mean, no, and there was a run in there that was really incredible too. He still got one for the highlight reel.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He broke at least a couple tackles, and you could just see his legs churning and moving those defenders out of his way. And I saw some Ashton Jeanty haters saying like, "Oh, see, this is the game proves that he's just been feasting on bad competition." Like, no. If anything, this right here, where Penn State is loading up 8-9 man boxes, and he's still getting his.
It's the game that proves his offensive line probably can't compete against bigger boys.
This is how we know the kids aren't watching enough Adrian Peterson film.
And a lot of kids just don't know ball. I see the blue check mark. I automatically know you don't know ball.
They don't know what it's like for a great player to have to just run straight hard.
We devalued the running back position for a decade there. So
yeah. So that was an interesting game, but it wasn't at the same time. Then the 4-5 matchup happened. The Texas Longhorns and the Arizona State Sun Devils.
Oh.
What a football game. I just want to give you my brief story with this because I watched the first half at home, and Texas looks like they're going to blow a team out, and this is going to be a great time. And then I'm beginning my trip to Fredericksburg in the car, listening to the game finish. and it ended up being quite the experience. I haven't gone back to the age of listening to something only, a sporting event only, but man, was this a great time to have done that, because I explained to my now fiance that,
Which congratulations.
thank you.
Oh yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. That wasn't a
Applause
setup.
button.
That was, yeah. Sorry, the feature. The features they're lacking, but I appreciate it. I'm explaining how the Texas Longhorns have just fucked up the game. They have lost. It's 4th and 13. This game is over.
That was like the 10th time they had fucked this game up. So.
Yes, yeah, and I couldn't even explain all the other nuance to where I think, in my personal opinion, Sarkisian was coaching scared and trusting the kicker too much. I don't do that. The offense was churn and go. Doesn't matter. All because, and then I have to explain, well, never mind. It looks like they're going to win because in 2 plays, the Texas Longhorns scored the touchdown they needed to tie the game. And then the touchdown that they needed to put themselves up in the next overtime, as well as the 2-point conversion that would ultimately probably make this game all for naught. Because, I mean, they didn't tie the game, but obviously the play calling gets a lot different. The buttholes get tighter.
Oh, yeah.
It was wild, man. Felt pretty good, but didn't feel great because you can see this combination of teams I'm wearing right here. It's been pretty similar all year of like a lot of games feel like we should be doing a lot better on the score department. And then I can say the same for my stupid.
That's true. Yeah,
I can honestly all year. The Stars the same way. The Rangers were the same way this year. Offense has been lacking in my sports life this year. And that got pretty frustrating. It's frustrating that Arch Manning doesn't even get to go out there. Like, I'm not saying he should be taking all the snaps, but I am saying you got to do something because your running backs are okay, but they're not great.
He does present a different look to the defense that you got to respect.
It at least makes them think,
there's so many innovative offense. Like, you can't put 2 quarterbacks on the field at the same time and have something out there.
I hate to be 40 chess guy or whatever, but maybe he was hoping to be able to save that card for something like Ohio State. Maybe.
No,
But
I mean,
really,
that's fair.
really it kind of comes down to, and what the rest of the year is going to come down to, is what can Quinn do for you?
Which is sometimes not a lot, and sometimes just what you need.
It gets wild.
Well, this was a great example of him just not being able to step on the throat.
The last pass, the last pass being perfect, or the last three. I
and
guess the
then,
last 3 passes.
Yeah, the last
touchdown,
3 passes. The last 3 passes, he almost certainly made sure that the Maras are going to draft them wherever they're picking in the draft.
Yeah,
which please do.
Which is really always
that'd be great.
Quinn Ewers, I've said a lot of mean things about Quinn Ewers. I will say he may get like right below Vince if he wins the title and gets drafted by the Giants to fuck them over in the future. That is the reality. That if Quinn Ewers can deliver for me,
even if he wins, I'm still gonna have him behind Colt McCoy. But
oh yeah, absolutely.
I still have Ricky, and I didn't even get to live Ricky's experience.
I'm just talking strictly QBs here, but yeah.
Oh no, Ricky's number 2 because I just feel like I feel like Ricky is a part of all of us, at least some of us.
Major Applewhite's like my my Rusty Greer, my
the guy more who could Jeff Swaim guy.
I loved Applewhite. Anyways, so yeah, that game is wild. I can't believe I'm gonna have to not watch another one. Get to watch another one.
Potentially 2.
Yes. So the next game, the Cotton Bowl game, which will be in Arlington, supposed to be on Friday, but here in DFW, we're also supposed to get, although as of today, heavily reduced forecast of snow / sleet / ice coming down tomorrow, the day before the game. So we're not entirely sure how that'll all play out. It'll most likely just be fine, but we'll see.
The sun has been absolutely kicking ass this last week.
It was a warm 40 today. I didn't even need a jacket.
Yeah. No, it felt like the sun has been doing a lot of work the last couple of days.
I think Texas could. I guess we'll probably get into that game in a second, but
there's the 2 other games
kind of frustrating
before,
in the 2 games we've seen so far, which might be a good thing in that they haven't played their best game in a while yet, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, but it's really at this point, I don't think so. I think the defense, there was some frustrations with this last game specifically.
And we really need to talk about Cam Scatabo almost single-handedly won that game.
Yes.
You want-
No,
And if you want
actually,
to talk about someone who boosted their draft stock,
no. Yes, and that's a
trucking
great
and
thing.
fucking. That's what
'cause
that guy
now-
was doing.
that stupid
Now my propaganda-
60-yard halfback
Look.
pass touchdown was one of the worst feelings I've ever felt in my life. It's up there close to Crabtree.
Yeah. No,
that was rough.
I now have a different agenda. I think Ashton Genty is a fine football player. I think he's going to be great.
Yeah.
However,
Scatabo is more of a Jerry pick for sure.
I need the boring offensive lineman pick. Banks is great, whatever. Whoever's there, defensive lineman, if we need that too. That's fine. Take the boring pick if you got the most talented guy. And then Cam Scatabo, come on in. Where are you at? Where are you at, Scatabo?
And
I need the Scatabo. He's a white boy built like a tree trunk. I don't care. That's awesome. If I get him in the 3rd round, I don't even care if I have to get another running back to go with him.
Honestly,
We'll bring
you
Rico back.
slot him at fullback and watch.
No,
this
we got
thing
Lipke
work.
too. Honestly, I'm ready to get back to some old school nasty football. Dak, you're throwing 15 times a game, bitch. Make it count.
Cowboys should just run a wildcat with Trey Lance, Cam Scatabo,
Yeah,
Kavontae Turpin.
Whoa!
Kavontae Turpin's still in there.
CD
Yeah,
too.
look,
CD. Oh,
we're just doing Gadget City.
Hey,
We
Yeah,
got
that's not gonna
we
get
got
you very
5
far.
linemen and 6
What's-
web backs.
what's
That's not.
Ferguson?
Good,
Ferguson could
good,
definitely
good
fit
save
into
on the
that.
pronunciation there, but
Yeah.
No,
but for
but-
sure. Oh yeah, go ahead, please.
no, I was gonna say on the Cam Scatabo. So
Yeah.
just because you look at him, right? He looks like a 230-pound back. I look him up. Arizona State has him listed as 215. I'm like, no way. There's no way. That's a hefty boy you got there. That is a big.
Yeah, but he's
classic
built like
power back.
just a solid brick.
Yeah, I'm like, there's no way he's lighter than 230.
That's
But
probably what he
bad
came
boy.
in at before the season started.
Probably, yeah. He's a big hefty boy now.
Dude.
But I guarantee you he'll be available in round 3, 4, and 5.
No, and
I
honestly,
think he
that's
did
where
enough in that game to make some GM and owner pull that trigger in the first.
If they
or
do
second.
it, if they do it in round 2, I'll sell the pick. I don't care. I want it that bad.
Dude,
I just don't think so.
That was
No, I know he had a great game, but
I know.
man.
I'm just saying some of these guys are a lot more itchy trigger than we
Caesar,
would
the
be.
Eagles have a 2,000-yard running back. Now we're getting back into the running backs. We're
Yeah,
done with Aaron Rodgers. We're back.
still
We're
want
back
someone
on
who
the
can
running
run.
backs.
Derek and
Everyone's
Saquon. Derek and Saquon bringing it back.
Everybody's coming
But
back.
I mean, yeah, to triple down everything he did in that second half. I hated him so much. They had that stupid close up of him on the sideline, just like shaking his head, talking to the camera. I was getting ready to be very, very mad during that game. They even cheated to get him into that one touchdown where the lineman just actually picks him up and throws him in. I thought it was badass, but
No, all the reasons why I want him to be the next Dallas Cowboy. And
if you didn't see any of that
I will
game,
be disappointed
just
if he doesn't.
type in Cam Scatabo on YouTube. Watch those highlights because that was fun.
Dude,
That's one
watch
of
the
the
whole
better
season.
college
This guy has
football.
been doing it all year. I mean, he basically decided the Big 12 conference himself. Really.
Yeah. What's next? What
Um,
other games happened?
This is unfortunately the game why I don't feel like the Texas Longhorns are the favorites going into the Final Four. Ohio State absolutely fucking punked Oregon. The final was 41-21. That was not how the game felt. In fact, again, as I'm listening to in the car on this long drive, this thing got out of hand very quickly. I mean, it was almost instantly 28-3 or some shit, or 28-7 or something. It was bad early. There
What do you
is
think
one.
about the conspiracy that Texas is helping ESPN out by making all their games close.
I think that conspiracy is fine, but the conspiracy I would be more interested in, it's not really a conspiracy at all. It actually happens all the time in sports. Was this just a Chip Kelly revenge game? A proper Chip Kelly revenge game. Now, he had been at UCLA, but obviously UCLA doesn't have the dogs to fight with Oregon. Now he's at Ohio State. He's got the guys. They didn't do it the first time. It was a 14-13 loss, I think. It was a very tight game. It was probably, arguably one of the best games of the season. It came down to the very final play, or came down to a final drive, rather. I think there was an interception that sealed it for Oregon.
It was 32-31.
Oh, okay, 32-31. So it was a 1-point game and threes were involved. That I got right. Okay, so yeah, the Ducks. Look, everyone kind of wondered if the Ducks actually just had built the best team in football with their money, and I think I bought that pretty damn well.
We staved it off for 1 year.
Yeah, that's the other fair angle to it. But I will say there is part of this.
Can't wait for Oregon, SMU, and Georgia to be running college football.
Really though. So look, Chip Kelly, he made a difference. I think so. But really, the angle I'm trying to get back to is I told you so. I told you so. I told you so. Skylar Howard is the next Bo Nix. New York Giants potentially. Raiders. Who's going to do it, Caesar? Who's going to do it? Because I found the guy. It's Skylar Howard. Look no further. Skylar Howard is Bo Nix. He's Christian Ponder, however you want to look at it. Because I think that's the scale potentially.
Oh, that's a big
Christian
drop
Ponder is the bottom, and then maybe Bo Nix is the high point. Because Bo Nix looks like he could work out. Bo Nix looks like he could be a really mediocre starter for a long time. And I think that's what they invested in him for. Christian Ponder was sort of thought of the same way, but obviously that went the other way.
Well, I would hope
I got
that
his
any
jersey
guy. This is fair. I would hope
It's
that
Randall Cunningham, all right?
any 5-year starter in college would be at least a mediocre starter in the NFL because you have so many reps.
Works.
I mean, we don't have a whole ton of.
He's got the experience. And he played at K-State and then Ohio State. It's not like he went from bubfuck nowhere.
It's true. But yeah, as far as 5-year starters,
Kansas State in your thoughts, because I got something to say about them and we preview a game in here in a minute.
Oh, God.
I
don't know, man. I don't believe in Will Howard very much, man. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Because he wasn't a very good passer at Kansas State. And he has so much NFL talent around him at Ohio State. They're like, oh, look.
He does, but I think that he'll do the Bo Nix. I think because he's also a hell of a runner. He's very tough guy energy. So I think even Mitch Trubisky got to get that. He got that bump of being kind of fast and also kind of a hard ass. I feel like you get the bump. We're not talking about exact science. It's not like the NBA draft where it's I know a 6'8" wing is hard to get, so this is a priority. I know a 7'5" French guy that can dribble the ball and block shots is going to be a good investment. You know what I mean? This is the NFL draft where you kind of have a lot of wonky shit going on, a lot of opinions that don't necessarily have football at first mind. You know, sometimes I feel like it's right. Was Lamar Jackson in the Baker Mayfield draft? Were they the same year?
2018, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
They were the same year.
He was the last quarterback. He was the last pick of the first round, too.
Everybody was wrong on Lamar. But if you take Lamar out of the equation, they were right about Baker. He was the most competent of those white boys.
Josh Allen was in that draft.
Josh Allen was in that draft, too, yeah.
Oh, damn.
You
know what though?
Looking back, not a bad draft.
No,
that's a really good.
The other one's Goff, and then the other one is Rosen was in there.
I think Rosen was
Rosen is in that draft. Yes, Darnold also in that draft.
Darnold, whoa,
Darnold was in that draft too?
Yes, a lot of the early guys we thought were busts are coming back into.
A lot of times it's just bad teams,
and that's kind of what you should obviously understand that Vince Young shouldn't have been that bad.
Well, immaturity is also
Marcus Russell. Yeah, I don't think that one mattered. I think he went to the Raiders because all the teams did their proper research.
I think that's the same with Vince. I think the only difference is Vince could have won something important for a good team had he gone to them quickly.
Yeah.
But Vince was always going to have to get past that obstacle in his life, and I don't know that he has to this day.
Yeah, that's fair.
So. It's just one of those things. Jamarcus Russell had an unfortunate story, but it's very awesome that he's come back to kind of put a new light on it and help people be a little more aware.
He's the biggest physical what if that I've ever seen. Because
you're
not wrong, man.
I get why the Raiders did it, but it wasn't.
Well, I also get why everyone else didn't, because they talked to him and they're like, I don't think he's gonna try.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, they had the Raiders had the first pick in the draft, so he wasn't. Nobody else had a chance.
Yeah, you're right.
To skip on him.
Good call.
The
I'll also say this is the same team that's drafted a punter and a kicker in the first round.
Wait,
Kicker,
hold on.
kicker,
I know about the kicker. I
kicker. Sorry, kicker. I think the punter was what, a 4th round?
Yeah, I think they did with one of their big guys. I don't remember who it was though. Notre Dame, Georgia. That's the final game to finish this thing up. That one was stunning a little bit. That was the one that was postponed, correct? Yes, that was postponed.
Yeah, I got pushed back till the next afternoon. Which honestly, people were starting to get mad because they're like, "Oh, they got plans to leave," but unless you were just like gonna go to that late night game and then leave like on a red eye, it might have actually just been fine. You check out your hotel, hang out for a few hours, then go to the game instead. But
where are you gonna put your stuff though?
That's a great question. I travel light.
No, some hotels will hold on to your luggage. Fair, just pro tip there, but not all of them, and that's still risky.
I don't travel enough to have to consider these kind of things.
No, that's fair. Well, if you drive, then maybe you can put it in your car, but then that's risky. Basically, unfortunately, events conspired to have made this a little bit more dark, as we previously mentioned. We're not going to reiterate all that. What did happen was Notre Dame handling business against probably the best defense in all of college football, although Texas certainly feels like they should be that. There's just been back and forth with Texas, but Georgia's had their down moments this year. It just felt like Georgia more consistently had that.
It's tough to tell when Texas and Georgia would play each other because neither team has a quarterback that tested the defense very well.
Yeah, and I can also say that I think Carson Beck held his own a little bit more in some of those other games where there was a lot of making up for Quinn Ewers throughout the season and no running backs.
Who was the quarterback playing for Georgia against?
Yeah, no, and so this was the thing. So Carson Beck was busy worrying about what dumb GM's going to take him in the first round to
probably
to deal
still
with
trying
this
to figure out
game.
what week it is, right? Is he still didn't he get his bell rung pretty good in that
Yeah,
SEC championship game?
Yeah, but I think, it was also a good opportune moment. We'll get to another quarterback prospect that maybe thought the same way. It's time to go to the NFL draft. It's time to, show your physical abilities and your resume of having it. Well, he has a national championship, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so, hey, go in there and maybe, again, there's a lot of dumb teams picking, Tom Brady's desperate to find a quarterback. Is he dumb? We don't know that quite yet, but we know he's desperate for a quarterback.
Is he involved?
He has
as a minority answer.
Everybody keeps talking about his opinion when it comes to the Raiders' moves.
And who knows? Maybe he was instrumental in getting a certain head coach removed. But we'll talk about that later.
So I don't know. We'll see. But I do think that there's a lot of desperate teams with the quarterback pick, and the number one pick in the draft is going to the Titans, and that's the funniest franchise it could go to, arguably. So, well, that's why we get to talk about that later, maybe potentially, whatever. But there's plenty of time to get to that. The matchups are where we're at now. We're in the Final Four. The 6 versus 7, the 5 versus 8, just like we all thought it would be.
Parody, bitch.
Yeah, the bracket got quite busted to get to this Final Four, depending on how you feel about your favorites. Of course, Georgia without a starting quarterback, and Oregon really just no excuse for what they did. Really just a bad look for Oregon. But ultimately, Notre Dame, Penn State going to meet up at the Orange Bowl. I joked earlier, it's the who do you trust the least bowl, but I do feel serious about it. I want to believe in Notre Dame. I want to believe really badly. But I do feel like Penn State has the manpower to deal. I feel like they're both the same team, with one has just a little bit more firepower behind it, and that's Penn State. And I think that's what will decide that one. I think Nittany Lions win the Orange Bowl and represent one half of the national title.
Bold.
That is a bold one.
I mean, I think it would be cool for the Domers to make it. I mean, obviously, that's who the broadcast media's favorite darling is going to be, right? At least for that game.
Notre Dame,
Yeah.
Always and forever, unless they're playing against the SEC. But even then, they're still ESPN still likes to
put
on the knee pads.
I hear what you're. I hear what you're saying. hear what you're saying about Penn State. I can't trust that team. I can't trust that head coach in big games. And I don't know. Like you could say with Notre Dame, it's a history of choking, but like it's been a history of choking under different coaches. So maybe this one's the one to finally figure it out.
Maybe NIL has given them more power to recruit a little bit better than the old standard allowed them to. They were struggling because of the academic standard of their school. NIL kind of gets them in this funny middle ground where now they can kind of fudge some stuff probably a little bit easier than they used to.
Yeah, and then that defense of theirs is just it just flies all over the place. That offense just does enough to get it done. I mean, you look at like the raw numbers of their offense, and it's nothing that impressive. Riley Leonard, Jeremiah Love, but
Riley Leonard also may potentially have this ability to sneak into the draft conversations, right?
No, not in my opinion. But he has size, and he can.
You got to get an open mind because this is a wonky quarterback draft.
Okay, yes, but if we're just talking about Riley Leonard, he leaves so much to be desired as a thrower. You could just tell by his entire history in college football. If I were him, I would stay another year at Notre Dame and try to make myself look like a better passer. Because right now he's just kind of mediocre at that. He's more of like he's like a Daniel Jones type in college.
And I mean, he's making more money playing college football than he will his
years
in the NFL.
It's certainly a different. I mean, we could be talking the same about Quinn Ewers, depending on how this all shapes out. He could lose to a team and then sign with them the next day. We're talking about
take him right back to Ohio State.
But yeah, as far as the
reality.
Yeah, but as far as my prediction, I think Notre Dame wins in a close one. But if this is Penn State of next year with Drew Allard having another year under his belt, I would maybe be more inclined to pick them. I just don't think it's their turn.
Yeah, I'd probably prefer Penn State win, but I fear Notre Dame is on a good roll right now, so we'll have to keep hearing about those annoying bastards for at least another week.
Well, who is it? I guess it's ESPN that's doing the Natty, right? I would assume.
Yeah, it's got to be.
They still have the rights. So yeah, they would love it too. Because guess what? If the Who Do You Trust the Least Bowl is the other game, this one, Texas Ohio State, becomes Battle of the Media Darling, because I'm pretty sure whoever wins this game is going to get all of the love in the forecasting of the title game.
I think if Texas wins this game, Notre Dame is the.
You would think Notre Dame's the favorite?
Oh yeah.
I don't think Notre Dame would get that kind of love, because defensively, I do think there's a level above what Texas is doing.
Maybe. I just feel like Notre Dame has always been the.
If Texas can stop Ohio State, Patrick, we're talking about 3 like NFL ready receivers on Ohio State, and potentially a quarterback that could go top 15.
Well, let's talk about that quarterback. And as I teased earlier, Kansas State.
Oh right.
While at Kansas State, Will Howard 0-4 against Texas. So
really, he was there that long?
Yeah.
Yep.
Damn.
He's a 5th-year senior, man, and
he's going into a top 15 pick. He's going to be a top.
No, that wouldn't surprise me either, but
it's gonna happen.
I would be shocked.
You said the same thing about Bo Nix, and you're right to be shocked, but you know this is the reality.
Yeah, you're going off of like
common sense. I'm going off of common sense.
Round talent, not when people pick quarterbacks.
Yeah, true. Not desperation and ignorance, which is the reality of the NFL.
So sadly true.
But yeah, Will Howard just never beaten Texas. He's seen them 4 times. This will be the best version of them he's ever seen, but he'll probably be on the best version of a team that we've ever seen. So
yeah.
And honestly, I think whoever wins the Ohio State Texas matchup wins the national title.
Yeah, I think TreVeyon Henderson could be the biggest part. I believe that's their running back's name. He's very likely to be another one of those guys that gets drafted in the 5th round and ends up being 1,000, 1,500 yard back next year for somebody. So Ohio State is packing heat. The only thing that I think a lot of people have pause on is just there is a lot of weird stuff with Ryan Day. He doesn't give off the competent energy that you would want from a coach necessarily, but the results are there. I mean, This season was what, two
If we could-
losses.
if we could,
One
like,
was to your arch rival.
If we
One
could
was
put some
barely.
Michigan jerseys on, we might be okay, you know?
No, I mean, that's the thing is, it's like, okay, you lose in the rivalry game. Unfortunate. At home, very unfortunate.
And he's lost that game every time.
And he's lost that game for 4 years. So I think but that almost feels like a separate entity from what you're trying to chase now. You know?
That boogeyman's gone.
So yeah, so it's like, you know, and then you really redeemed yourself well for your other loss. Like, you can't redeem yourself better in anybody's eyes than what they did with flipping the Oregon loss into a win. So now,
and we've lost our chance to do that because Georgia's gone.
Texas blew that shot. So and they did it to a backup quarterback, kind of. They got the benefit of the backup quarterback, whereas Georgia got the negative of the backup quarterback in this last game. It's an early returns thing. You have to cash in early, but you know once the tape is out there.
Didn't Stockton only take like 2 snaps against Texas?
I think that no, it had to have been like 2 drives, right?
I thought he was just into like the end of the end of whatever.
No,
Maybe I'm wrong.
I think he played a little bit more than that.
Yeah, okay.
Either way, yeah. So part of this is me thinking that Texas, Ohio State, who's going to win?
I think I was thinking of when we hit Stockton in overtime and they were looking at or something.
But I think mostly I'm just laughing because I need all the L's Jerry Jones can take, and they don't always come in the easiest fashions. They don't always come in the way I want. But there's potential for an L for Jerry Jones, and it might come at the hands of the Texas Longhorns in a way. The snow coming is a funny story because Jerry's desperately wanted to have a Super Bowl back here. It infamously went awful.
I can't believe that the people who make that decision would just go off of one thing that happened and not look at historical data.
But historical data is actually what they're using, Patrick. Think about your experience here. January to February, especially like early to mid-February, is so unpredictable in North Texas. We don't react to it. Every time we act like it doesn't happen. And it happens every year. It just happens to different degrees.
Well,
like once every 10 years, we get a bad one.
Because it doesn't happen every year, really. That's why we don't handle it well.
But it does happen every year.
Because if it was really
basically
happening every year, we don't have like full shutdowns every year.
Not full shutdowns, but we do get the freezing conditions. We do have sleet come in quite heavy at times. Even if we don't get snow, like we do have to react to these things. And in 2010, Arlington had nothing around it but a Walmart and an old rickety baseball stadium.
It was not a rickety base. It was 20 years old.
It wasn't even 20. It wasn't even 20
at that time. It was 17, or 16, yeah.
An old hot ass stadium.
It was cold that night.
Yeah, it would have been cold that night for sure.
Yeah, no roof to protect you from that.
But dude, there's like 4 hotels. The Texas Lives exist. There's another fucking stadium there.
Texas Live even there?
No. None of that existed. So yeah, everybody was fucked then. But anyway, so hopefully maybe this isn't going to be an L. Maybe this will help Jerry prove that North Texas can host winter events again.
Well, I mean, we've had the first national title game was at Jerry World, so under the post BCIS.
I think that happens.
BCS.
Earlier in the year, so we get I think it's because this like late into January, early into February, we just historically have like a very volatile winter system because we do randomly just get fucking act like we're in fucking Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, but it'll go away in 2 hours because of sun.
Yes. Unless you get that random winter storm,
which
every
is
5
possible
years.
For tonight, but probably not anymore. But yeah,
no, I didn't think last I looked there was pretty much nothing going on tonight. Before we do move on to assorted bowl games, wanted to check in on our little half-assed picking.
I have to upload the videos.
College football. So in the first round, Jacob perfectly predicted that Penn State, Clemson would cover, and Notre Dame straight up to win. He doubled Penn State to cover. Perfect sweep in the first round. Caesar incorrectly predicted Indiana to win and cover, I guess, or just to cover. I don't know which one it was. Or SMU to win, and he doubled SMU to win. But he got Ohio State to cover. I missed out on Tennessee and SMU covering, and I got Texas winning and doubled that. So after one round, it was Bethke 4, me 2, Caesar 1. And then in the quarterfinals, Bethke thought Texas would cover. They did not. But he got Notre Dame covering, and he got Penn State winning right out or straight up and doubled that. So he's sitting at 7 points overall in the lead. Caesar picked up 2 more points in the second round. He got ASU and Penn State covering. He doubled Georgia winning. And then I, again, Texas straight up to win, doubled that. Missed both my spreads, but I'm currently ahead of Caesar 4-3. So it's 7-4-3. So this week we're just gonna we'll pick both games, and then you can double one of those. No spreads. We'll just do who's gonna win this week.
Okay.
All right.
Then I'll do Penn State, and I'll do them. Yeah, I'll give them the full trust. The Texas Ohio State pick, I'm going just straight up, and I'm still waffling right now to this very moment. I am waffled as waffle can be.
You technically have until, I guess, or you can just pick one now.
No, I'm picking right now, dude. This is not how we're going.
He's cementing this.
All right, but only because we're caught in the moment, I'm picking the Texas Longhorns.
All right. So
I'm already regret it, but I'm doing.
I've got Notre Dame and Texas winning. It looks like Caesar's got Ohio State and Notre Dame.
I mean, honestly, that's probably what's going to be, but I'm still going hard.
And is there any way I can make up points? Is it over? Because this feels like it's over. This feels like Bethke won.
I guess the way we do that is by doubling, and you got to double either one. I guess if you double either one, because you're picking opposite of him on both, so you could gain some amount of points there.
And then we have one more game to pick, and you could just double in, but just for winner takes all at that point.
And then that one will be worth however much the third place person is behind.
All right, I'm gonna double on Ohio State. Right. I don't trust Quinn.
I'm doubling down on Texas, so.
Definitely not. I feel like I could also be easily let down by both games, So there's a way for you.
You want to double Penn State?
Oh yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. But I just want to make sure. All right. So that's that on picking those for now.
Picking noses.
And then I don't know if I bought Bethke enough time. It wasn't
oh no, you did great. I'm ready to roll.
Right,
so
perfect.
I only had 4 clips. Not too crazy. I think I fucked up mostly by not saving anything throughout the whole time I was, just keeping up with. I didn't watch any bowl games live other than the playoffs.
I only watched the one I went to.
You went to one. Excellent. You represented for the Mean Green. Were you wearing green at all?
I wore my. I have a long sleeve Nike Mean Green. It's a nice shirt.
Yeah, so that's nice. Thank you for representing our friend of the program. Oh my God, what am I doing?
So he wasn't too far away from me. I was in the section right next to the band. I was front row, and had a jolly old time up there.
Yes, and you know what? I actually think I can put that video onto. I cannot put that video onto the.
You have to convert it.
Motherfuckers. Anyway.
To be fair,
we'll do something with that.
Not the highest quality of video.
No, it was definitely Payman recording from his couch, I believe.
I should have gone back. I guess I don't know if I can find it, see if I'm on there anywhere, but I don't think so because cameras weren't too often in my area. If they were in our area, they were on the cheerleaders or the band.
Yeah, SMU Stadium, just a little bit of a nice high school stadium.
It is quaint. I liked it. Yeah, it was kind of cool.
No, it's a pretty
stadium
simple
goes. It's all right. It's weird. It's got this like end zone that's styled off a little differently, and there was like no one there, and I don't know what's going on in that spot because the rest of the stadium was pretty much full.
I think there's some renovations to stuff going on too with
but
SMU.
There were like some people in there, so I don't know if those are like very expensive suites or people weren't supposed to be there, but they snuck in. Not sure.
Nice. Well, we'd like to hope the latter. So various bowl games did occur. Some of the highlights that I could remember off top, I did go get and save, and there's 4 of them here. We're going to start with the Minnesota Golden Gophers in the Mayo Bowl. That's Flavor Flav popping out of a mascot mayonnaise jar. That's PJ Fleck, head coach of the Minnesota Golden Gophers. And he's pumped to see his man Flavor Flav. And cut to, this is how they celebrate this one. A big old whopping bit of mayonnaise on this bald ass white man's head. And look at that man's reaction was perfect. And this is my favorite. He goes to lick it and he's like, oh no, I shouldn't have done that. Should not have done that. So that was how one game was celebrated. Another game that happened locally involving a team we all know well went a different way. The Oklahoma Sooners, late into the game, were able to tie up the football game. Look, see, tick, 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 as Boomer liked to say. 13 seconds left. They got it. What is that, a wheel route? Who knows? It's a touchdown. That's what it is. And you think, okay, you're going for two. That's ballsy. Better have a good play. Oh, the Oklahoma Sooners lose the whatever. Lockheed Martin blow up a country bowl.
Oh my God. That's one in Fort Worth, right? The Armed Forces Bowl.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, I wasn't far.
Funny.
Just accurate, you know. Yeah. Did you watch that one? Did you have any other feelings?
No,
or
I thought about going to that one, but I had to work and didn't want to mess it around. So,
would you have found a way to represent the Naval Academy?
I could have if I had wanted to. There's that weird little mini mall thing on the square, you know, the store that has a bunch of stuff. For some reason, they just have a million military garments and stuff.
Well, kids like to cosplay a lot in Denton. That's the thing.
Well, I think the way that place
thespians.
works. I think the way that place works is it's like people.
Is it called
people?
The Army Navy store? Because there's
No. It's the mini mall on the square.
No, yeah, it's just one of the boutique ones. Just
but
not
yeah,
the one
it's
that
like
burned
every spot is like someone else. It's like all one person stuff, and they get some of that money. I don't really know how it works.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Anyways, sorry.
No, fair. We talked about QB prospects. This is actually what Cam Ward did during the Pop-Tarts Bowl. Keep note of the time and score here. 31-28. Hell of a barn burner. No defense for the Hurricanes as usual. 14 minutes left in the game. Yep, that's no helmet on. All right, you guys got this. It's time for me to go make that bread. Now, I'm not mad at this at all. I'm not doing that. I am simply laughing at the antics of someone sitting down to seriously watch the Pop-Tart Bowl and being like, man, we got a fucking awesome 31-28 shootout. I'm excited for the second half. Wait, what? The quarterback's just deucing out.
Yep.
Now, this isn't new.
Well,
but it's still funny.
It's a little different from what we're used to. So to give you a little bit of context to anybody who might see that and like, why did he not play the second half? It was already talked about beforehand and with his coach that they were going to try to break the NCAA, I believe it's passing yards record or passing touchdowns record. One of those two records.
Trying to go for a record.
I think it was touchdowns. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's passing touchdowns record. They got it in the first half, and they just kind of had an agreement. He was just going to play the first half to get the record, or he was going to play until he got the record. And then once they got it, he sat, hey, listen, if that was the agreement that the team and him had, fine. I mean, he's not under any obligation to try to go win the Pop-Tarts Bowl by any means. I'm sure as the fans, you're like, we want to win this game. But from the players and team perspective, like, it's just a bowl game called the Pop-Tarts Bowl. And the most entertaining part of the bowl game is the Pop-Tarts lore that we got.
It's why I appreciate them putting so much effort into it, because I think it's an understanding that there's nothing they can do about the football product, that they should just make everything else so ridiculous. Honestly, let's do a simulcast for all the bowl games moving forward. Most just obscure things we can do with artificial intelligence, whatever you want to do. Just go out there and dream it up. I mean, they've done SpongeBob, I'm sure by now. Looney Tunes, I'm sure, is coming down the pipe.
Super Bowl. Looney Tunes hasn't happened yet, which is a little. I guess they're just not in any. Like, I don't know if they're really a thing anymore.
I think it's the Max. I think it's also
stuff?
Max.
Well, that belongs to Max WB. Maybe the CW does that. I don't know if the CW is part of the WB.
WB brand is still mostly
Time Warner.
Bethke, I got two more videos for you at the bottom.
Nice. All right, we'll get to that in a second. The best thing I saw, to steal from SportsCenter and Scott Van Pelt, was a little bit of coach antics in the game South Carolina and Illinois played in God knows what fucking bowl. I'm sure we'll see it at some point.
Yeah, I did not understand what actually was going on in this.
Excellent. So you're incredibly far behind, but I am going to roll with it anyway. I don't know what happened in any way, shape, or form. Caesar, I think you're still on the same timeline. The substitution method of being a little slow got a little old for Shane Beamer, and Brett Bielema maybe rubbed it in a little bit. Let's just play it out. It's about 44 seconds of clip here. I'll walk you through it. Guy's hurt. Cool. Timeout for injury. Holds his boobs. That's how you know. Boom. Shane Beamer pats him on the butt. That's not his teammate. That's not his coach. Goes and pats him on the butt. So I think that was Shane Beamer showing you how annoyed he was. Then Brett Bielema goes over there at some point. I kind of had to cut about a minute time of real time out of this. Brett Bielema goes over there and pisses Shane Beamer off pretty hard because he goes up there, makes the motion. Now Shane Beamer's fully set off, being pushed to the back. They're using look at the hype man pushing it back in hype. They got to separate the dudes off the field, and then of course you go tell him that. You go tell him that. I wonder how many times that exact phrase gets said to referees, just in any sport. You go tell him that. So beautiful reactions by all of them.
Oh man, we didn't even get to cover in hoops when what's his name went after that female ref.
I did have it in one of the hooplas a bit, but yeah, we did not talk about it.
Yeah, that was a wild scene. But okay, so I just want to know what popped him off, because I honestly didn't see anything there, other than the
Brett
posturing.
Okay,
the posturing and stuff, right?
But yes. So basically, when Shane Beamer did this, we're in the third quarter. We're almost in the fourth. He's getting kind of fucking annoyed of Brett Bielema's bullshit right now. I've just cut it to where Brett Bielema shows up, and then now he's doing the substitution thing. So now that sets Shane Beamer off. Because you'll see Shane Beamer come running out right there.
Yeah. But did Brett Bielema say something to Beamer because he saw the guy pat his player on the butt?
Yes. I would definitely say that. So I may not actually have it in this clip. I'm not going to run the whole thing, but just wait. I think you'll see one of the training staff guys in a second go to his microphone. No, I cut it. So yeah, the guy in the hat actually microphones, and then about a minute time lapses where they show a replay and everything. That's when I cut it back to Bielema being here, and then walking back with a gesture. And of course, the gesture is what sets Shane Beamer off. But yes, Brett Bielema was essentially just taunting him even further. He was like, "Oh, you don't like gamesmanship?" He basically was like, "Sub, bro. It was a sub." Dude, it was a sub, bro. It's legal, bro. That was basically what he did. And Shane Beamer clearly was over that bullshit.
Calmer than you are, dude.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And so that is where it ended. And I appreciated it. It might be the best thing we saw all bowl season. And then UNT Mighty Mean Green. We're just going to talk about this a little bit, and then we've got a couple videos. Do these have sound?
I'm not sure. I was doing that really quick on the fly, so we'll find out.
Let's go, yo.
Beautiful catch and throw for a 16-yard touch.
That's beautiful, and I think as bad a quality as it are the.
It looks
the
a
way
lot better than I thought it did when I first watched it on my phone on Discord. So
I that was what I meant to do. I can cut that and then get just the full reaction of them because of the way he zoomed in. So, friend of the program, Braden, always a Mean Green alumnus that is happy to go to any Mean Green event around the DFW metropolitan area, and I'm very happy for him. I think that was the first touchdown of the game.
no,
was
that wasn't the Gus Meyer run or whatever. Meyer
Oh, that might have been. Oh, that might have been that. Yeah, real late play. Yeah, Mestamaker.
Rosenberg.
Yeah. Yeah. The Scrappy Boy.
I didn't take a lot of videos, but I made sure to get Scrappy.
That's fair. Mean Green lost to the Texas State.
It was so much better of a game than I was expecting going in.
That's true. It was an offensive showdown. It was strikes basically only,
Well,
right? Like all the scores were
14
big
and a half
plays.
point favorites, right?
Texas State?
Yeah. It was
Yeah,
like that.
but I mean, UNT had basically been completely decimated by the transfer portal for sure.
Yeah, so except for they were one of the I think I can't remember if he threw 2 interceptions, but one of them in the red zone, the North Texas quarterback, where even my girlfriend was like, "Why?" She was just like, "Why did he do that?" I was like, I don't know.
He hasn't been here in a bit,
I didn't know
he's got to
anything
get the
about. Yeah, I
cobwebs
didn't
out.
find out till
Yeah.
after the game that he was fresh, green as he could be. Yeah.
Raw.
So he actually did very well for all that. All
Mhm.
that considered, he doesn't have the strongest arm, so hopefully he gets a little stronger.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Is he the future? Do they have another kid coming in? Do they have someone else in the transfer portal they can still land? So who knows the way that UNT is going to build for next year?
But he did have a 60-yard touchdown run, right? However long it was.
Honestly, he
Like
looked
70 or
fun.
something.
He looked fun enough to get another shot. That's what I was thinking.
It was
but-
cool. It was a fun
um,
game. I enjoyed being there for sure.
But it was disappointing to watch, the team get another chance, and then yet again the offense or the defense, just immediately bend.
They had some chances to score some points early, and they didn't convert, and that ended up costing them. And one thing I definitely noticed: North Texas fans don't even travel down the road very well.
Oh no,
Texas State-
I might
Texas
have
State
considered
was-
going.
Very loud. Their fans were very loud,
Mhm.
for as loud as that stadium can get. I didn't love that their band stole Neck because they're not as good as the LSU band. And why would you steal that one? That's like obviously theirs.
Because they're trying to build football culture, and that's why I like that Texas, North Texas does what we do. They're trying to build a football program that's efficient and is for the recruit and player. You know what I mean? Just like the student that goes to UNT, you're going for an efficient, affordable college degree. That's what UNT, the football program, should be, because UNT, the football program, will never have these high highs. You can succeed. You can perform well there. It's got the foundation and everything you need. But realistically, the culture is intentionally apathetic to sports.
Oh,
The
yeah.
basketball has been great in the recent years, and it doesn't matter to the population all that much. It's just not the school.
They should lean
for
heavier
sports.
into
Now-
the RTF, like getting sports broadcaster degrees for all the athletes.
I mean, honestly, and they have a good program there now with Mayborn, the way they've set up in the recent years. So they should have all the access to do the easy pipeline stuff to
Absolutely.
Dallas media market.
Now, to kind of circle back towards the traveling aspect for the fan base. Listen, in all of my time, with the Mean Green, there's one thing I've noticed, right? And this is where I knew this was the benchmark. And it was the 2013 season when they won 9 games, right? When they won those 9 games, and they announced like it's the first bowl game in years, and it's gonna be in Dallas on New Year's Day. There was a lot of hype around the pop and circumstance of it being a New Year's Day game, the amount of wins that they had, the quality of wins that they had that year, having been on like national television as well.
This
They
is
still
still
got
the
their-
old font, right?
Yes, they're still old font. And here's the thing: They sold out their allotted amount of tickets. I know I was there. I had people that were in the building telling me this stuff in passing. Shout out the kinesiology department, just being real chatterboxes there. But 30,000. That is as much as the stadium that they have on campus or right next to campus holds. That's the most you're probably ever going to get from this fan base, because it is not, like Becky said, it is very apathetic sports culture. Even when they had really good programs, like their women's soccer program, when we were there, they were great.
The basketball team's been pretty good for a while.
They were really good. They had a genuine 5-star recruit on their basketball team when we were there. Tony Mitchell, I think was his name.
Okay.
Hold on. Wait. Let me just.
I watched Tony Mitchell play a lot of basketball that season. I was the first person in America to know Tony Mitchell was going to the second round of the NBA draft.
Okay,
but
you got to let me get this off though. This is before we found out what he was, okay? Because he played 2 seasons there. But there was genuine hype.
Season. It was so bad.
There was genuine hype before the season kicked off. Like, oh my God, they got this guy who's highly recruited. Highly recruited athletes don't go to North Texas.
He had gone to Missouri and then got kicked out of their program. That's how he ended back in Texas. UNT.
Yeah. So there's this is not a culture of getting highly touted recruits straight out of the high school, right? You kind of either get them through transferring because they flamed out somewhere else. I mean, the highest recruited prospect on the UNT football team that won the Hard Dallas Bowl, he went to OU. I took a yoga class with the guy. Nice guy. Hit really hard. Runs really slow. I was like, there's no way this guy's going to make it in the NFL, but thank you for everything you did that season. But just to let you know, it doesn't matter if this is a UNT team that wins 7-8 games, the benchmark for them to care is it looks like it's going to be 9 games, and it has to be local as shit for this fan base to turn out.
What's local though?
It's tough to get more local than Gerald J. Ford outside of being.
But remember, I said there's 2 things. They have to have a team worth caring about, and a 6-6 team was not enough.
No, I think it definitely hurt that way. I think it also just isn't necessarily like there's a lot of us in Dallas, alumni wise, but I don't know, man. I don't know if it really matters that much. I think that a lot of the alumni it's just not something people have ever had to care about. Even I've never ever seen anybody on any spectrum of Mean Green fandom other than old guy.
It's got to start somewhere. Come on, let's make
old
it happen.
Guy, and then the kids that are specifically in clubs that are built around it. Those are the only times I've ever seen much emphasis on the Mean Green.
Yeah, I mean, I was in one of those clubs. Shout out Talons UNT.
That's the only time I've ever seen any pep in anybody's step about anything that goes.
Yeah, and I'm probably just because of listening to the ticket, and a third, if not half of those guys all went there, so they talk about it more than anyone else is going to. So I just feel like that's the overall thought, but I guess that's probably not the case,
No, and old white guys love talking UNT football for sure. Or Dallas Fort Worth, you old white guys, very specifically.
Hey man,
it's a very
I
niche
saw
people.
Unnecessary Roughness or whatever it's called.
I think it's called
exactly. Jason Bateman shot a movie on our field and talked about it a couple years
Kathy
ago.
Ireland was kicking balls. In more ways than one in that movie.
Old Fouts Field, right?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Field.
Where they also filmed some Jesse Jackson movie. Not Jesse Jackson.
Jesse Ventura?
No, Sprinter. The runner. Oh my god.
Oh man, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Jesse, the Olympian. Oh god.
Mm-hmm.
Jesse
Usain
Owens.
Bolt.
Yeah, I think it's Jesse Owens.
Okay, not Usain Bolt.
Yeah, the Jesse Owens story, 1984, was filmed. They filmed some crowd shots there, I believe.
All right. Well, we have football. Collectively colleged the football. We are in the Final Four. It's been an expanded playoff. I don't know that it was worth it. I don't understand.
I like it a lot more.
I'm sure you've come around on this year, but I still really don't know how much.
I was never a big fan of just grabbing 2 teams and making them play. So this feels better to me.
Yeah, I'm just talking
Just as an
12.
American sports fan,
Going from 4 to 12 just was quite the leap.
Maybe, but I think it's a good thing. I can live with it getting up to 16, but I don't ever want to see it go past that. There's a lot of schools, man, so it makes sense.
But there's so much football that would need to be cut out of the regular season for this to
No,
happen.
you just get rid of the buys.
That's okay. I mean, that's a tough one.
I mean,
but
the top 4 seed buy in the playoff, not like in the season.
yeah. Oh, okay. Well, we'll see.
Anyways, it's fun. Texas. Last funny note is that the cash out on my Texas Longhorns to win the national title game actually went down after they won this week.
Well, yeah.
That's
Now they're
good.
going against Ohio State, and they didn't look very good. So, cool. Yeah, so that'll wrap up the college football. Next, we'll get into the NFL and talk playoffs.
Playoffs.
Thank you. I didn't have Jim Moore ready to go, so
Everybody should have Jim Moore ready to go.
You reap the fruit of your selfish ways. You gonna lose all your fancy foosball games, and you're gonna fail your big exam because school is
The devil? Everything is the devil to you, mama? Well, I like school, and I like football, and I'm gonna keep doing them both because they make me feel good.